Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be a what I read in October / what I'm currently reading kind of update video because I went on a trip and then I couldn't film that many, pre-film that many videos, and I got sick, like biggest flu ever. And yeah, long time no see. So let's go through the books that I read in October. So the first book I finished in October was All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. And I was kind of shocked because I felt like this was another like domestic thriller, I guess that's how you call them. I didn't expect that many things, although I was interested by the way the book was written. You basically told the story like kind of backward. Like you have the beginning and then it starts, is it like 2 weeks before someone disappears? Yeah, 15 days before someone disappeared, and I thought maybe it's gimmicky, maybe it's gonna be good. I wasn't sure how to feel basically about it, but I was intrigued, that's why I picked it up. And I actually really liked it. I believe I gave it 4 stars. It's been a while now, but I ended up liking it way more than expected. It's definitely still like a mystery of like, oh, what happened to that girl? Did she get murdered? Basically, someone that grew up in a small town goes back to said town, and back in the day, before she left, a woman disappeared, and then again she goes back 10 years later after her dad is he's not dead, but he's pretty much dying. Someone else disappears at that moment and she's trying to kind of solve it. With that said, it didn't really feel like, oh, I need to know who killed her or what happened, or you know what I mean? It didn't feel like that. It definitely felt more like little town, kind of a bit mysterious, I guess, which I do really like. So it's a little bit more cozy than like thriller-y type of mystery. Do I sound rusty about reviewing books? But yeah, I would give it a shot if you are intrigued, if you were already looking at it basically. I'm happy I read it, which I can't say about a lot of mystery thrillers I've read this year. It's definitely one of the best ones that I've read because damn, I had a really horrible years with those. Then I got from my library City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. Victoria Schwab, I feel like her writing really like, it talks to me. Like I really like love it. Even though like there are some weaknesses, like people were talking about character building in her Shade of Magic trilogy, and I agree there, especially with Lila? I believe that was the name of that character. She became like worse and worse throughout the series, which was so annoying. But her writing is always what I love, and her world building. And in this book, I went into it thinking it was a YA. It turns out it's a middle grade, which makes a huge difference. You're following a little girl who can see ghosts ever since she almost died. And the world like that was intriguing, but the writing was bad. Like, everything that I liked about her writing was not there. It was definitely just super plain, which again, it's middle grade. It makes sense. It just was so disappointing. I was not curious to see what was going to happen. If you are younger or you have like children, they might be interested. I had to force myself to finish it, and I will not be continuing the book, the series, and I gave it 2.5, I think, just because, and yeah, like really a huge disappointment, but I guess it's partially on me, maybe not. I don't know, I can't see myself continuing this ever. Another book that I got from my library, I was listening to it as an audiobook. It was The Good Girl, The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. I went into it just seeing it as now available as an audiobook. I just needed to have something because I was waiting for other things, basically. And I knew it was a mystery. That's all I knew. I didn't realize that Karen Slaughter was the same author as another book that I read earlier this year, which I thought was way too dark. Like, I like messed up stuff, but for some reason her books are very like sexually violent, and it's just not something I'm interested in reading. And I don't know, they just get to me, not in a good way. And I felt exactly the same about this one. And then when I realized it was the same author, I'm like, well, this is it. So I think maybe the author is just not for me. The mystery was not bad, like it was a mystery, I guess, but again, just huge disclaimer. Lots of sexual violence. Also, if you are going to read this book, don't get the audiobook. The sound was all over the place, like people whispering, then there's silence. And I usually like very often listen to audiobook in the shower. So I would be like, oh, is there something like going on with my shower speaker? I would put my ear next to it and then yelling. no, don't get the audiobook. I can't imagine, like, if you have it in your ears, for example, you would like turn up the volume and then like get your tape and blasted. Anyway, yeah, I gave it, I think, 3 stars. Again, it was okay as an audiobook, but I don't think I want to read more from this author. Next, I read / listened to The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the second series of the Mistborn world, and I was so happy to be back into that world. I love the magic system here. It's definitely Brandon Sanderson's forte, and I would have to say, I think I would rather read his book than listen to it as an audiobook. I feel like sometimes, like, I would miss a bit and I would have to like back up to like get all the like subtle hints and stuff. So yeah, definitely prefer it personally as a physical book, but there was nothing, like, no issue with sound or anything. So if you want to listen to it as an audiobook, it's perfectly fine. I have to say it's my least favorite book from this series, but from what I've heard, the first book, I believe this one is 4 books, is the least favorite for like most people. I do like the 2 characters, like the banter between them and everything, and I'm happy to, again, be back with the magic system and everything, but it kind of left me a little I think I gave it 3.5, 3.75 stars. It was still a solid read. I'm still happy I read it, and I will happily continue, but it didn't feel like his usual books, in the sense that, like, it didn't blow my mind as much as his book usually do. So yeah, it was fine. Like, I'm not complaining here. I then read on my book on the Kindle app Legion, again by Brandon Sanderson. Actually, it's Legion Skin Deep, which is the second book in this universe, and it's a novella. I have issues with novellas. I really want to like them, but most of the times I feel like I am left wanting more, and that's, again, what it is. The premise is super interesting in that world. You're following someone who is kind of schizophrenic. He sees other people, but it's like apparently a manifestation of his brain knowledge type of thing. Like, oh, he needs to learn to speak whatever language. He'll read that dictionary, and the next day someone, or like an hour later, whatever, someone will pop and that person speaks that language, and he's the only one obviously seeing that person, and he can understand through that person. Anyway, it's just like crazy stuff like that, which is like super interesting. But every single time, even though the story's fine, I kind of want to just know more about that character and have way more to the story than like 100 pages. Like, it's just not enough. So it was fine. I have no specific complaint except the fact that way too short. Like, way too short. I want way more from that character and world. So yeah. So as you can see, a lot of books left me a little like, I want more. I was in the middle of 2 books, which I'm going to share right now. Before I left on my trip, I was reading the second book in the Broken Earth trilogy. This is the Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is great. So far, I don't think I'm liking it more than the first one, though. I feel like that might be an unpopular opinion. I'm like almost 300 pages into the 400-page book, so I should be able to finish it this month. It's just that once I put a book down for a while, there's always that risk that I will not pick it up again for no reason. But I really want to finish this. I like the magic system, the world building here. It's kind of a mix of fantasy and sci-fi. Highly recommend you read it. Just be aware that the writing is a bit slower than the average fantasy sci-fi books, so just give yourself a minute to get into it. But if you're usually not really into sci-fi fantasy and you want to give it a shot, I would recommend, but you usually like literary fiction, you might want to give this one a shot. You might enjoy the writing, but yes, I like it. I just need to keep going. I love the mix of like fantasy world, which like is also like sci-fi in the sense that it's like the end of the world, like apocalypse has happened type of thing. So good. I'm also in the middle of The Stand by Stephen King, because this was my big book of December, and it's also going to be my big book of November, because there's no way I'm going to be able to finish this, well, in October. It would be time travel, and I can't do that. I haven't been reading the physical copy much. I've been mostly listening to it as an audiobook while traveling, which is kind of like messed up, because I was in the plane when people were coughing, and then my joke is that I got sick because that first day on my trip, there's a baby that literally made eye contact with me and then coughed in my face, and like that deep, I'm dying cough. And I was like, really? Really? So I'm pretty sure that's how I got sick. And if you don't know, this book is basically apocalypse, people dying from a super flu. Lovely. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. People always ask if I prefer this one over, what was the other one? What's the other one? By Robert something. Man, I have the worst memory right now. We're gonna blame it on the flu. I can't remember. The other book that is like super popular and well known. And I think I prefer this one. Sadly, in both cases, there's some like fantasy elements, and I feel like it brings me kind of out of the story. With that said, this one has less, and so far I'm enjoying it more. I have about 10 hours left into the audiobook, which is a like 48-hour audiobook. Let that sink in. And I'm listening to it as like 1.5 speed or something, so I've been doing pretty good. Like, still listening to like 38 hours of audiobook in 1 month. I was a trooper, especially since it was mostly on my trip, so like let's say like a week and a half, 2 weeks. So yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. I'm not sure. So far it's like best book of all time. I feel like everyone is always saying that with this book. So far I'm enjoying it. We'll leave it at that. 10 hours left could completely change my mind, but yes. Very dark characters, again, end of the world, people trying to survive, good, evil. 2 more books I'm in the middle of. There's Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. Basically, like a week ago or something, I was realizing I hadn't read a lot of like mystery thrillers, even though it was October and it's usually the time of the month that I read the most of them. So I picked up that one from my library because super popular. And I think there's like, it was published earlier this year. There's like 47,000 ratings on Goodreads, and like the average one is like 4.11, which Goodreads can be hit and miss their ratings. I feel like very often classic will be super low, and then YA and like the current popular thriller mystery will be overly high. It doesn't deserve it type of thing. So I've been reading this one and I'm in the middle of it. Like literally in like a day or two I read half of it and then I put it down and I just like it wasn't bad, it's just that I still wasn't super intrigued, and like it's so easy to forget completely about it. But basically a family, one daughter disappears and then the other daughter starts a relationship with a man who has a daughter that looks a lot like her missing sister. So you're like left wondering what happened. But yeah, I will hopefully finish it this month, but I'm kind of not super interested. It doesn't feel as domestic mystery as a bunch of the other ones that I've read this year, but still kind of. Like it just, I'm just tired of the same type of family premises. I guess it makes it kind of my fault because I keep picking those up, but they're the ones that everyone is talking about. And then last but not least, I'm currently also reading a nonfiction. Basically in the plane, I was reading whatever I had on my phone because I didn't have access to the Wi-Fi. And I started reading 21 Lessons for 21st Century, the same author as Sapiens. And this is so good. I'm realizing that technically he wrote Sapien and then there's the one for the future, and this one is like for the right now. And I only read Sapien, I haven't read the future one yet. I don't own it yet. I need to. I'm not sure if the order really matters, but I'm really enjoying it. Like the beginning is a little too, it's not the stuff I'm that intrigued. I'm more intrigued with the rest of the stuff, but like I'm pushing through. So far I'm interested and enjoying it. I believe I'm like a third into it. It's on my phone. I don't have it right now, but I'm pretty sure I'm like a third into it and I just need to pick it up again. It's one of those books that like once I actually read it, I'm enjoying it, but it just takes a lot to read it. Me nonfictions, I'm like dying to read them, but then I never pick them up. So those are all the books that I've read in last month / I'm currently reading. I will be doing a TBR for the rest of the year because I don't think I'm going to do one for November and then one for December. So because December is usually the month I'm the most busy, plus I try to post as many videos as possible because I'm doing my best, worst, most disappointing, most surprising, blah blah books of the years. I'm currently at 95 books completed this year, so I have a bunch of things to study and think about to do those videos. So I usually tend to read like Harry Potter. So I'm not sure how many books I'm going to be reading for the rest of the year. Obviously still a couple, and hopefully I'll finish some of these, especially these two. Like I need to do that this month for sure. I feel like the flu kind of like ruined my momentum a bit. So yeah, please let me know in the comment section what you read in October / currently are reading, anything that stood out that you really enjoy, anything that you think I should pick up or anyone else. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe because I have way more videos coming up your way. I will be putting on the screen other videos that I've done that I recommend you check out, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.